The Middle Eastern wars are to an extent water wars. Conflicts between Turkey and Israel, conflicts between the Palestinians and the Israelis, conflicts between Ethiopia and Egypt. We are not talking about potential tension. We are talking about blood being spilled on the streets. When any country starts to use water beyond its limits and starts harming another region, another country, you must inevitably have water wars.
Australia is the driest continent on Earth. Sydney, their major city, is going to vie with Beijing and Mexico City to be the first international city to literally run out of water. And they've got a massive export. I mean, they're an exporting country, and they are exporting massive amounts of virtual water. They're growing wheat and cotton and rice for export. What you've got here is a government that refuses to deal with reality, which is if they don't start just growing water for themselves sustainably, you're going to find cities like Sydney and Melbourne running out of water in anywhere between 5 to 15 years. I mean, running out of water. I am not blaming Australia. If that were happening in Canada, we would be just as blind. It's just that Australia is facing this crisis first. It was the first reports ever of physical violence between farmers over water. China's doing the same thing. China's destroyed its water table with its economic miracle so that all your running shoes come from there. They've just told Tibet they're going to take Tibet's ancient water systems and just help themselves, and it will put off their crisis for a while, and meanwhile the people in Tibet will have their water stolen.
Water is a fascinating tool politically, and it's not unusual for me to read that the government of China shut down the water for a certain village for a number of days, and the people rioted, and people were killed, and people were arrested, and people were put in jail. That's not limited to China. That happens in many parts of the world.
With the Green Revolution, the idea was that new seeds that required chemicals would generate so much prosperity in the rural areas of India, which in turn required more intensive irrigation, 10 times more water use for the same amount of food production. Costs of production were higher but were made to look cheaper because the farmer in the initial stages wasn't paying for the urea, the pesticides, the seed. After a decade, the subsidy started to get withdrawn and agriculture started to become unviable. Farmers of Punjab started to get angry, particularly the younger generation, which had thought they would have a life of prosperity, but the rug had been pulled out from under them, and they started to organize and rebel. Young people of Punjab in the late 70s and early 80s became terrorists. What we see from 65 when the Green Revolution was introduced to 84 when it ended in this series of massacres, we see a model of totally non-sustainable farming designed only to build more dams, sell more toxic chemicals, and have more control over agriculture. And the people killed in the terrorism linked to the Green Revolution is equal to 6 times 9/11. 30,000 people were killed because of terrorism.
Mexico City is facing perhaps the first water catastrophe in the 21st century, and some people say that this will happen in the lapse of 10 to 15 years.
I've talked to people who are thinking about destroying the water pipes coming into Mexico City because they consider this to be a theft of their water.
So we should fight back.
La invitación a grupos sociales, a organizaciones sociales, a periodistas, a investigadores y a ciudadanos en general, moverse en autobuses.
El autobús, si vamos 40, nos va a costar 12,000 pesos, 300 pesos de pasaje.
Que va a recorrer todo el país identificando problemas que existen en el México profundo y que no son tema de atención de nadie.
Más 30 años ya. Siempre el agua ha sido muy escasa. Una temporada de que nos dan agua cada 15 días, cada mes.
Pues la gente está muy molesta y se está organizando.
Entretejiéndolas tratando de crear una red de coordinación de luchas nacionales.
Corporations and many governments are in war against population. They are taking a step forward in terms of creating a social conflict that they might not be able to stop. I think what the average person could do in this situation is to realize that it's not a matter of guilt. It's not whether I'm guilty or you are guilty for the water crisis. Of course there is a need for a new water culture, but most of this could be done just by remembering where the water comes from.
Es decir, hay que llegar a este grado de conciencia porque esta crisis del agua es, además de muy peligrosa, también puede ser la gran oportunidad para que de una manera muy sencilla y muy elemental la humanidad entienda por qué el capitalismo es un régimen de muerte.
The earth would be all right if humans died. I mean, I sometimes think the wrong species evolved. The earth would not be okay without clean water. I mean, we're expendable. And it may just be that that's what we're doing. We're driving ourselves to extinction. This is our revolution. This is our war. My dad fought in the Second World War. And he said to me just before he died, this is your generation's war. It's your generation's fight. It's fighting against this system that is deliberately imposing from above this horrible imposition of a class structure. Reintroducing in the 21st century, a class structure that we thought was gone 100 years ago. You have to have an inner calm and you have to say to yourself, what am I here for? Why am I confronting this power? Because there's tremendous power. I mean, we are really challenging huge, powerful structures and interests. We're calling it, we're naming something that they'd rather not name. Oh, my dad saw the fighter that I became. There's no question about it. He died about 5 years ago now. So he actually said to me, I don't want to go. I want to keep watching you develop. I want to, this is interesting. Who are you? Like, how did you get here? And where are you off to? So he was tremendously supportive. Well, I travel a great deal. I try not to. Keep telling everybody at home, this year it's not going to be as bad, or next year. And my husband says, yeah, you've been saying that for like 30, years. It's like, all right, already. So it's craziness, right? And you get germs, right? And in the middle of the night I wake up and I'm going to have diarrhea because I can feel it. It's explosive and I know where I got it. I remember what I ate. I felt I couldn't say no in this particular community. I don't make it to the bathroom, right? I just mortified beyond language. I had cream-colored pants on. And I remember thinking, okay, now I could be just mortifyingly embarrassed because everybody is watching this. They're all going like this, right? And I thought, you know what? I just brought a little bit of the pain and the suffering of the poorest people onto the business class, and to hell with them. I hope it smells a little bit, is what I thought, because that's the pain that people all over the world live with every single day.
Planéta Zem sa zmieta v krčoch tesne pred globálnym pred úmrtím. A je úplne destabilizujúce prostredie pre človeka na kontinentoch, čo je veľmi nebezpečný trend. To znamená, že keby sme odštartovali realizáciu modrej alternatívy dnes po celom svete, tak v priebehu 10 rokov máme vyriešený problém vodných zdrojov a stability klímy.
Rain harvesting techniques do already exist in many desert parts of the world. But what the Blue Alternative Project suggests is that it is not advantageous to build such holdings in the desert, because the heat of such areas keeps the annual rainfall too low to make a large impact on the groundwater recharge. The global plan is to build capturing systems on the coasts first, where clouds blow over easily. As that ground becomes wet and cool, clouds will blow further inland.
Zhruba okolo roku 2023 dojde k vlastne takej globálnej katastrofe, ktorá sa odohrala zhruba 20 000 rokov pred Kristom, kedy bola globálna potopa.
It has become a popular trend to blame such climate change on greenhouse gases and global warming. But if we were to stop all carbon emissions today, would the climate return to normal if we did not also stop removing our fresh water from the ground and losing it to the sea?
Experti a celý svet paušálne hovorí o tom, že vplyv klimatickej zmeny na stav vody v krajine, ja musím túto vec popraviť tak, že nie vplyv klimatickej zmeny, stav vodných zdrojov na planete Zem,